Time I'd like to call the Haywood County Board of Education meeting to order. This time I'd like to ask the board to rise for our board prayer, please. And I'm going to lead us in our invocation tonight because Mr. Rogers is calling in, and it'll be immediately followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time we can spend together. Lord, we thank you for all the many blessings you've given us. Lord, we thank you for the teachers and the staff and the administrators. And Lord, we just ask that you guide this board and give us wisdom to make the decisions you would have us to make. Lord, we ask that you keep us safe and keep our children safe this summer and welcome them back this coming August. These things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Our next regular board meeting will be held here July the 11th, here at the Education Center at 7 o'clock. I'd like to announce that we have a central office open house. That is, if I'm reading it right, it's tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Correct.
5 to 7. The public is welcome to come take the grand tour of the new administrative building. And Trevor, would you like to add anything? Or Dr. Nolte, would you like to add anything to that?
We're very pleased with our office. I had my first staff meeting in there this morning, and I told them it was the first time in my career that I had had a staff meeting in a room that was designed as a room for staff to meet, rather than a hospital room or a classroom or a morgue or a cafeteria. So it is a 1970s building that has been renovated, but it is very, very nice, and I think it will serve the needs of some of our admin staff for years to come, curriculum, HR, finance, and areas that were typically in the old hospital building.
That's correct. Well, it's the first time since I've been on the board that we've had our own building that we own, and for that I'd like to thank the county commissioners for their help in this project. And I know that several of us on the board here have been working on this for a long time to try to come to where we could go. And so it's a good accomplishment. So let's celebrate tomorrow night and have a visit with the central office open house.
Mr. Francis, I just wanted to correct, I said morgue. We had one of those in an old building, but we never had any staff meetings in it. Okay. Just for the record.
Okay. Clarification. Okay, are there any agenda adjustments that need to be announced? I think there's some items coming from different places. Okay. Building and Grounds has several items. We'll do them right after the regular, well, let's do it right prior to the financial reports at number 21. We'll do it right before that, and if I skip over it, just reach over here and remind me.
Mr. Chairman, I have 5 additional items on finance.
On finance, 5 more items. Okay. And I have a few adjustments. Let's see if I can get these right now. Number 11 will go before number 9. Well, let me just tell you this. The transportation recognition will be done first. Then second will be the Employee of the Year recognition. And third will be the retiree recognition. I get that right? Okay. And then Miss Fox will be presenting on number 15 instead of Miss Cook. That was my notes up here, so hopefully I got that correct. Are there any other adjustments that we need to make? Okay, at this time I need a motion for approval of the board agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion from Dr. Rogers, second from Mr. Nesbitt. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. First, we have Dr. Putnam.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, at this time we have several athletic recognitions for high school athletics spring sports. I'll call to the podium first, Ms. Heidi Morgan, Athletic Director at Pisgah.
Chairman Francis, members of the board, Dr. Nolte, Dr. Putnam, thanks for having us here today. We certainly appreciate it. First, I would like to recognize Coach Bentley Rogers. Coach Rogers is a back-to-back golf coach of the year. He puts a lot of time into that. He doesn't like a whole lot of recognition, so I want to put the spotlight on him, embarrass him really well, but he does a great job, and it shows in our golfers as well. So I'll let him speak about his team now.
Thank you guys for letting us come here tonight and recognizing our accomplishments this season. Thank you to Connor and administration and Coach Morgan for their support of our program. Thank you to the parents who drive to the matches, come and take the kids to practice, because we don't get to practice at Pisgah. We're all over the county. And I'd like to thank Springdale and Laurel Ridge this year. They provide us with matches and a place to practice. So really appreciate them and their time that they provided for us. I'd like to thank Christy Sarles. She stepped in again this year for me. I had to take a leave of absence for the birth of our daughter. She took the kids to regionals. So I appreciate her doing that again for us. This time I'd like to recognize the team. Colton Clark. Colton Clark, he's a senior for us. He's been a member of the golf team all 4 years. Next is Evan Loftus. Evan Loftus is an all-conference player for us. Evan will be continuing his golf career at UVA Wise with a golf scholarship. He's also been a member. He's been an all-conference member all 3 years we've been able to have the sport. Next is Dylan Yates. Dylan Yates came out this year for us. Dylan was able to qualify for the 5th spot this year and competed for us at the regional tournament. Eric Loftus. Eric Loftus is a junior. Eric was the player of the year for us this year for the Mountain 7 conference. Next we have Jackson DeMars. Jackson's a sophomore. He'll be returning for us again next year. We have Hampton Shipman. Hampton's a freshman for us, and I'm so glad he came out. One thing about our team this year, when we competed in the tournament, after the first round, we was up by 12 strokes. We went to the second round at Etowah, didn't play in the best conditions. It rained the night before, and didn't have the best of rounds. We finished 4th that day, and we was 2 strokes out of the lead. So then next week, it was on Thursday. That was on Tuesday. Went to Thursday. We played at Mill Creek, and we ended up coming from behind and winning by over 20 strokes. So I was really proud of our kids and the pressure that they was under, and I'm so glad that y'all have been out and took the time and competed for us this year. Thank you.
Squeeze in.
There we go. Next, we have Coach McKinley Morris, who is her first year as our head women's track coach. but they kind of work together. So, Coach Morris.
Thank you guys so much for having us. Thank you to our board members and Chairman Francis for recognizing our athletes and their tremendous accomplishments. I'm a little bit biased, but I don't think track and field gets the recognition it quite always deserves. And so this year we had 3 athletes qualify for the state championship meet. We had multiple compete in the regional meet, and then we had 3 go on to our state meet. So first was Evan Bird. And Evan Bird. So Evan was a state qualifier in the 400-meter dash, or if you have never run the 400-meter dash, probably the worst and best race all in one. And so at the Mountain 7 Conference Championship, Evan ran his PR of 50.43, and that is very fast. So he placed 3rd in regionals. Literally, I was sitting on the back of his blocks, and they're doing ready, set, and torrential downpour, like the heavens opened. And so in a torrential downpour, Evan placed 3rd at regionals and then placed 11th at our state championship. Evan had the same success in both the 100 and 200 meter, and is probably one of the best anchor legs in our region, if not the state. Evan is not only a tremendous runner, but an incredible teammate and leader. I've never met an athlete so dedicated. His work ethic is unmatched. He shows up every day, no matter what, with no complaints. And most of the times on Fridays, at optional practice, it was just me and Evan. So give it up for Evan. Second, we have Miss Sasha Ledford. Sasha competed in both soccer and track in this spring season. In 8 out of 10 meets, Sasha placed top 3 in pole vault, finishing 2nd at conference and 3rd at our regional meet. At state, Sasha placed 3rd, vaulting a PR in 10 feet. She broke her own school record twice this past season. I admire Sasha's commitment to excellence and her passion for the sport of track and field, and we're grateful to have her a part of our team. And then Sam Morgan is not with us tonight, but I would like to touch on some of her accomplishments. Sam was a state qualifier at state. In 5 out of 9 meets, Sam finished 1st in shot put. And I laugh because I'm usually sitting there tallying the points in my head. And most of the time when I found out that Sam had placed 1st, I knew that the girls, we were going to win the meet. And so at regionals, Sam threw her PR of 34.45 and broke her previous school record. Sam also managed all of this while playing softball. She's incredibly dedicated, humble, and a huge asset to the team. Again, thank you for recognizing our athletes tonight. I know that we are grateful that they get to represent their school and community. Thank you.
Next, we have women's softball, and I try not to be biased or partial, but a little bit of my heart is all softball. And if I think of a couple of words that describes our team this year, it would be perseverance and resilient. They had to overcome a lot. Not having our home field this year, playing at the IP Sports Complex, we were extremely grateful for, but there's no place like home, and we definitely learned that quickly playing there. I want to brag on all 28 of my girls. They came every day to practice, had a positive attitude, worked hard, wanted to get better regardless of the atmosphere or where we were. So we're looking forward to being back at home next year, hopefully, and they're just a great group of girls. So I would like to recognize first Miss Casey Lovelace for being all conference. Casey was our leadoff hitter this year. She has started on varsity since she was a freshman, and always does a remarkable job. She plays left field, comes up with some catches that, sometimes I'm like, how in the world did she do that? But she pulls them off all the time. Next, we have Miss Letty Jo Watson. Lady Joe was honorable mention all conference for this year. She perfected the split at first base. I think she worked on it every day at practice with Coach Jay, and saved a lot of plays for us toward the end of the season. We come up with some outs that maybe wouldn't have been an out if she wouldn't have been so diligent in that work there. But she's also a rodeo champion, so she spends a lot of time doing multiple things, and we certainly appreciate Lady Joe. The other young ladies was Alyssa Smith, who couldn't be here tonight. Maddie Ray and Whitney Boone were all conference. Alyssa and Whitney were our pitchers, and we're dead even across the board in every category as a pitcher. Same strikeouts, same innings pitched, same amount of walks, and 3 points off from the same ERA. So I've never had that before. So they're an extremely amazing group of young ladies, and they're the best part of my day every day. Next, we have Coach Shepard for baseball.
How are you all tonight?
Good, how are you?
Glad to be here. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize my young men. They're all conference. We didn't have the season that we expected, didn't have the season that we wanted, but they worked hard. And that's tough to do when you're displaced and having to do stuff in places that you normally didn't. We traveled the whole time, so we kept the roads hot. And they still persevered, and they came forward, and they came every day. And we finished up camp last week, or this past week, with 83 kids. And a couple people that I'm sitting here looking at right now, their grandkids were there, and they were there as well. So that bodes well for baseball in Canton and in Haywood County, because we had a lot of people from Tuscola side as well that came to our camp, and I was excited about that. But I appreciate your continued support. I appreciate everything that you do for our guys, and we look forward to playing on our field next spring. So at this time, I would like to recognize Eli Rigsby. Eli's a sophomore. He is in the top 50 of his class, which is a big deal. Seeming to get a whole lot of young men that are very, very intelligent, and young women as well for women's tennis. And that makes me more proud than any certificate like that, because they're going to be very successful, and they're going to be the leaders in our community at a later date. And that makes me very excited for what's coming with them. Eli led the team with his batting average. He was a catcher, but he was also a utility guy. I moved him around a little bit, and he did it with a grin on his face and a yes sir, and never hesitated. So I appreciate you. Andrew Wester. Andrew is a junior, and he was all conference last year. He getting recognition again this year because of his defensive abilities. He didn't have the season he wanted at the plate, but he's top 8 in his class, so I'll let that go. Very hard-working young man, and I was truly impressed with him just this past weekend. Not that I wasn't already, but he took the 5- and 6-year-olds, and they were circled up around him. I called his mom after camp and actually told her that maybe he's not going to do what he plans on doing, and he's going to be a teacher. She was maybe not so excited about that. I'm not sure. But this is the kind of young men I have, and this is the kind of young men that are representing our community, and that's exciting. I have two young men right now. One's in Florida playing in a big tournament down there, Matthew Roberts. Matthew was pitcher of the year last year. He struggled a little bit this year, and he still worked hard every day. And he was a leader for me. And he's one of those kids that you can look at and hand him the ball and say, "Hey, take us," and he will. The other is Walker Fox. Walker Fox is currently playing in the North Carolina State games. They did their team workout today, and they will start competition between the other regions in North Carolina starting tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have some positive updates from him tomorrow. But like I said, these are the young men that we've got representing us, and I'm excited about the future and what it's got in store for us. And I appreciate the opportunity you guys have given us and the opportunity you're giving these young men. Thank you.
Next, we have women's soccer. Soccer, I'll be completely honest, is a sport that I have learned to love. I didn't know a whole lot about it until I became the athletic director. But this year in their playoff game, we were hanging on the fence. If you've ever been to a Pisgah athletic event, every principal, every athletic director, everybody goes. And I don't know who was louder, our fans or the admin team, but we were going crazy. But the first young lady I'd like to recognize is Alyssa Bridges. Alyssa was the Mountain 7 Defensive Player of the Year. She has remarkable work ethic. She always has. I had the pleasure of teaching her when she was a freshman, and she's just gotten better every single year. The next young lady is Kenna Lawing. Kenna is the same way. I can't say enough about the work ethic that surrounds our women's soccer team. The next young lady is Jackie Pena. Jackie tells me every day that she can hit a softball better than I can. I'm still waiting for her to show me so I can show her how to kick a soccer ball, but it hadn't happened yet. The next young lady is Jimena. And if you'll excuse me for just a second, Coach Pinkston sent me some notes to tell everyone. He wasn't able to be here today, but he said that they had an amazing season and a team full of great players. The girls being recognized tonight were the consistent driving force in making this team what it is. A couple of them are off to play in college. The rest will keep pushing this program to be the absolute best that they can. He said thank you. Sorry he couldn't be here. Airlie Freeman, who couldn't be with us tonight, was also honorable mention all-conference. Kennedy Barker was all-conference, and Maggie Mull was honorable mention all-conference. Thank you, girls. We look forward to watching you play in the future.
Was that all of yours? These were. Thank you, Coach Morgan. Now it's time for special recognition for Tuscola Athletics. I will call Coach Cagle to stand. Sorry, Coach Sluter. Sorry, I don't know why I had Cagle in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, plead the fifth.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for having us tonight. I'm standing in for Laura Turner. My name is Austin Sluter, and we're great to announce this group. We are going to start off with Coach Cook, Coach Mills, and Coach Marcos with our women's softball program.
Hello, I'm Bronson Cook. We have Lindsey Marcos and Cliff Mills back there. Thank y'all for having us. Tuscola softball this year was a good year. It was a rough year, but it was a good year. The girls competed in every game. We ended 12-9, but they competed in every game, never gave up, showed the grit and the growl that these girls have. I mean, showed their true colors. It was good. We could have had, we had 18 on the team. We could have had 18 all-conference. We were only allowed 3 and 2 honorable mentions. So we'll start with our first one, Ava Kirkpatrick. Ava hit .516 for the season, which is phenomenal. She her slugging percentage was .838. She had 1 strikeout all season long. That's hard to do right there. But thank you, Ava. Second one's Katie Arrington. Katie hit .406, had 28 RBIs, which led the team, and her slugging percentage was .579. So, I mean, a little over half the time she was on base, and we had a lot of that on the team this year. So thank you, Katie. Next is Faith Caldwell. Faith had a good year, offense and defense. She hit .370, had 11 RBIs, which that's pretty tremendous. On the pitching side of it, she had 89 strikeouts in 81 innings. That's for high school. That's pretty good. Led the team with stolen bases with 8. Congratulations, Faith. Our honorable mention that's here tonight, Addie Sampson. That's a great honor for Addie, being a freshman, coming in. She hit .323 for the year, had 13 RBIs, and along with Faith, she had a good year on the mound too. As a freshman, in 41 innings, she had 46 strikeouts. So that's pretty good there, especially as a freshman. Our other honorable mentions, Abby Webster, who's not here tonight, but I want to thank Coach Lindsey, Coach Cliff for a good season that we had.
Take pictures. Yeah, I should have just put up bunny ears. She's got me by half an inch. But look at my son back here in the back. Look, he's had the one in the gray shirt. He's got me by 3 inches. Shut up.
Hold on, I got another one. Filling in for another one. That's all right. Okay. All right, ready? Okay, I'm good, I guess.
Thank you, coaches, ladies, for a great season. I'm going to step in tonight for Mr. Shepard. Coach Shepard for our men's baseball program is not here tonight. But we do have one all-conference member with us tonight, Jared Penland. Our other all-conference members were Jet Benson, Mason Stepp, Jacob Ward, Hayden Driver. We also had 2 honorable mentions with Colt Nelson and Evan Connor. Coach Shepard would like to thank the baseball team for a great year and their dedication to making it as far as they did. And he wishes he could be here, but so, thank you. Up next, we have Coach Epps with our women's soccer program.
Hello, and I thank the board for all that you all do to support Tuscola student athletes. We had a great season this year. The team went 12-6-2 and 3-8-1 in the league. And what I'm most proud of this team is how they represent themselves on and off the field. And also the fact that our team has a combined weighted GPA of 4.2. And these girls are all part of that upper end of it. And I'm sorry that all of them are not here. We have a couple at Asheville City Soccer Club's practice right now. But our all-conference and all-region selections were Hannah Wells, Cooper Richardson, and Kate Clark. And here's Cooper. And then our honorable mentions are Gracie Rinker and Annalyn Ravella.
Coach Epps. Now for my golfers, we had a great year. We had 4 all-conference golfers this year, the most in the conference. We are a scholar team. We have scholar athletes on our team as well. We went to regionals as a team, as the top 3 teams, and we had 1 state qualifier from that team. All conference was Sam Decker. His brother Colin Decker.
He's like,
Jacob Edwards. And Aiden Campbell. Aiden, you got to shake down.
I want some of that to rub off on my coffee.
These 4 were part of the 5 regional qualifiers, and Sam was our state qualifier. He was one of 10 freshmen that competed in 3A and actually was the top in our conference down at the state tournament. All right, now we have Coach Fitzgerald and Coach Williams with our track and field program.
you got a deep voice, don't you?
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for letting us come in tonight to sing the praises of our student athletes once again. Kevin Fitzgerald, I'm one of the 2 head track coaches at Tuscola, and Coach Danny Williamson is right behind me, and he's going to go ahead and do the honors of introducing these kids and talking about their accomplishments.
Thank you. As Kevin said, I'm Danny Williamson. Moved to Haywood County a long time ago, live here, and I want to thank Haywood County Schools for just letting me have the opportunity to go out and work with the kids, because that's all I've done all my life is, coach kids. So want to just don't want to take a lot of time, but just very quickly here, we feel like at Tuscola this year, we have one of the best outdoor track and field seasons we've had in a very long time. And I just wrote down a couple of numbers here that would indicate that our girls, women's, whatever we want to call it, girls, women's outdoor track and field team this year finished third at the conference meet and scored 112.5 points. I went back 5 years and took all the years that they competed in a conference meet, and I could add all 5 years together, and they didn't score 112 points in all of those 5 years together. So that was outstanding accomplishment by the ladies team, and the same thing happened on the men's or the boys side. The boys were fifth in the conference meet with the 3 previous years, 6th, 8th, and 8th, and they scored the most points this year also that they scored. And just a couple, I'm a historian kind of, so we have one young lady here, Annika Lamb. Where you at, Annika? Oh, she's back there, right? She's back there. But just one, as a freshman in high school, she was running the 800. She finished 9th place in the conference meet in the 800. As a senior, she was a conference champion in the high jump. So, I mean, I use that just as an example because that's 2 totally different ends of the spectrum and everything. And we had kids all over the place that were doing that. And just another note on Annika, and this has nothing to do with the spring sports, has something to do with the fall sports, but just today she found out, and I'll probably mess this up, she played tennis in the fall, but she was just honored as the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Heart of the Champion Award. She was, yes, I can't read my own handwriting, but she received that honor today, but it was for the fall, but she wouldn't get recognized for that. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the teams, and like I said, couldn't be more proud of them, and it was a ball working with Coach Fitz and our other coaches as well. All right, now honoring our student athletes in no particular order here, just going down the list. All conference, Skylar Ball in the 4x400 meter relay, finishing first. 4x400 meter relay, finishing third. Stephen Brooks was third in the boys discus. Andy Brown was second in the boys discus. Faith Dollery, 4x800 meter relay, first place. Tyler Evans, 110 meter hurdles, second place. 300 hurdles, second place. 4x400 meter relay, third place. Caden Griffith, 4x400 meter relay, third. Tanner Hill, 4x400 meter relay, third. Michaela Height, discus, first place. Annika Lamb, high jump, first place. 4x400 meter relay, first place. Triple jump, third place. 4x100 meter relay, third place. And she also set a new Tuscola High School record in the girls triple jump. Dominic Messer, 4x400 meter relay, third place. Eva Rinker, she ran everything. 4x800 meters, first place. 1,600 meter run, first place. 800 meter run, first place. 4x400 meter relay, first place. Lucy Snyder Lowe, 4x400 meter relay, first place. Alexis Stevenson, 4x800 meter relay, first place. 800 meter run, third place. And Lucy Snyder Lowe was 4x800 meter relay. I think I said 4x4. Miley Stover, 4x100 meter relay, third place. Ella Sutton, 4x100 meter relay, third place. 4x400 meter relay, first place. And a couple other interesting notes here. We had 22 members of our track and field team from the boys and girls that qualified for the 3A West Regional meet, which was the most in the history of Tuscola that many student athletes had qualified for the regionals. And out of the ones, I won't go through all those names, but out of the ones that did qualify For the regional track meet, Annika Lamb was the 3A West Regional Champion in the high jump. Eva Rinker was the 3A Regional Champion in the 800-meter run. Andrew Delbean, did I get his name right? Delbean, right, was also a qualifier for the regionals. He wasn't on the all-conference list. And he's here. Come on out. And also the girls 4x400 and 4x800 meter relay teams also placed in the top 4 at the regionals and made it to the state meet. And then I want to bring one other one to note that didn't make the state meet. Michaela Hyatt right there, she was a conference champion in the discus. And at the regional meet, she finished 5th, which was 1 place out of making it to the state meet. But in any of the other 3 regions in the state of North Carolina for 3A, she would have either won the discus in those regions or have finished 2nd at the worst. The 3A West region was the toughest of any other regional meets in the state this year. And others that made the regional meet that we didn't call out for all conference were Noah Clancy, Jordan Lombard, Hunter Soley, Tanner Hill, Gavin Langley, Henry Sutton, Jordan Butler, and that is it. All right? Thank you. All right.
On the stage and then slide over. There you go.
Maybe one more step up. There we go.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you all. Thank you.
Mr. Francis, members of the board, staff and guests, it is my honor and privilege to introduce some members of the first Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. You all know that we bring you school improvement plans every 2 years. And in the last plan that we brought, you'll have a new one coming in the fall, but in the last plan that we brought to you, or Ms. Barker brought to you, we thought it would be a really good idea if we had some students from our 4 high schools to periodically meet with myself, Dr. Putnam, and Mrs. Barker. And boy, what a privilege it was. My only disappointment about tonight is that they all could not be here, like many of the athletic people who were recognized. They're doing other very important things in their life. They were insightful. They were very thoughtful. When we present our new school improvement plan to you, you will see that we use some of their ideas in the plan going forward for the next couple years. And it was just my honor and privilege to meet with them. And I want to introduce, or have Carol Fox introduce all their names, and then those who are here recognize. So thank you very much, and thank you, students.
Okay, we have Remington Scott.
Tech guy. Tech stuff, Remington's got you covered.
Flora Lanning, Lindsay Barnett, Hannah Parks, Tabitha Mershon, Jocelyn Green, Trey Goodman, Kendall Burnett, Lily Seymour, Harper Clark, Caden Byrne, Darian Lunsford, Andrew Delbene,
Let me shake your hand. You can rub off on me. Scholar and an athlete. All right.
Mallory Fowler, McKenna Izell,
A little quiet, but you better listen when she talks. Okay?
Carson Cherry, Andy Mendoza, Drake Franklin,
Smart, funny, and good with weapons. That's why he's on the sportsman's team.
James Lee, Kennedy Barker, Haley Lopez,
Very articulate and smart. I wish you all could have been in the meetings with him. It's amazing.
Addie Sorrells, Kenna Lawing,
Another very smart, articulate person.
Mabel James.
And Mabel was a freshman, but don't let her fool you. She doesn't talk much either, but when she talks, she can listen. May I have my picture made with him? And
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because we got to meet with him. You all scrunch in and I'll get behind you inside.
Come on up here and get you a picture.
Maybe let's get two students on the back row too.
Two students on the back row.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect actually.
First, we have Stephen Sharp for some special recognition.
Good evening. We're going to present a couple of little recognitions this afternoon, and what we're going to start off with is what's called the Lug Nut Award, and I'll read to you what that is. A lug nut is a small part of a much larger machine. In comparison to the rest of the bus, it seems so small and inadequate. Surely it isn't very important. However, that one small part is vital to the bus's integrity and workability. Just like the lug nut keeps the bus going safely, we have some wonderful co-workers who keep the morale of our team together and our department going. The Lug Nut Award is for people who go above and beyond to hold other people up, who does not see a problem as it's not my responsibility, but works with everyone else and shows kindness to others. They're a joy to work around. Our department would like to celebrate these people who work tirelessly to ensure operations of the bus are fluid and easy. We are fortunate that you're a kind person with so much courtesy and goodness. Thank you for what you do. And our first one is Miss Bridget Brooks from Hazelwood Elementary. And I won't say too much, but this one has drove at multiple schools, has lined up subs for other schools, so she's kind of went above and beyond. Not that others haven't, but she's done a great job. And then our second lug nut goes to Miss Patsy McNeil. Yes, ma'am. Oh, no, we're honored to have you. And this one here has been, I have literally all my time at Bethel Elementary and growing up, she was a part of my life. She drove a bus. She was in and out of the schools my whole life. As personally, I know there's probably not an end to the kids you've touched.
I hope not. There's gonna be more to come.
That's what we're hoping for.
Let's put the pressure on.
Pressure on.
When I was the principal at Bethel Elementary, Patty worked at the middle school, and so she trained. Yes, you did. You heard it. I did.
I'll throw in that I spent more time with her as a student. She was the ISS person at Bethel, so. Leave it at that.
My home run. ISS was my home run. Actually, I had Miss Wilson, a band teacher. I just spent a lot of time on
Just did that right there first. Hang on. Chairman Francis, members of the board, I'm so excited tonight to be here to recognize our Employees of the Year. And in his last task as Haywood County Schools Principal of the Year, Clint Connor is going to join me in presenting these awards tonight. So our first one is Bus Driver of the Year, Patty McNeil by chance. Patty McNeil has been driving in the Meadowbrook and other communities on and off since 1979. She takes her route and the children's safety very seriously. She builds positive relationships with the students and their families. Patty loves kids, and they are like her own. She is proud of her bus and always makes sure it is clean and ready for her riders. She is dependable and will drive her route no matter what else she has going on in her life. Meadowbrook students are blessed to be greeted by a caring, awesome, and loving adult first thing in the morning and last thing in the afternoon. It is my pleasure to recognize Patty McNeil as the Haywood County Schools Bus Driver of the Year. If you got all our Employees of the Year, if you'll just stay up here, we're going to get one picture. Our next Employee of the Year is the After School Employee of the Year. The Haywood County Schools After School Employee of the Year is Julie Rogers from Junaluska. Julie is the director of the After School program and has made this a special place for children. She strives to stay connected with parents and communicates with them in a way to always maintain the dignity of their child. Julie has managed to keep all but one of her staff through the pandemic and supervises them well. Her principal said, "I'm very appreciative of her retention of quality, experienced employees in our program. Julie comes to work in a cheery mood and always has a positive attitude. It is with great admiration we recognize Julie Rogers as the Haywood County Schools After School Employee of the Year."
The High Sheriff has appointed me the next two, so Ms. Wood, I appreciate it. All right, next up is the Custodian of the Year. At this time, I'd like to read a little bit about David Connor. This is in memory of David, who worked at Pisgah High School for many years, passed away on April 23rd. David took pride in making Pisgah clean and comfortable for students and staff. He got to know our students genuinely, cared about their well-being. He always had a smile on his face and would go out of his way to help wherever he was needed. A colleague said of David, he leaves some big shoes to fill, and he will surely be missed. And I'd echo that as well as far as the principal goes. Here to accept this recognition is David's daughters, Pam, and I think there's some grandchildren here as well, if y'all want to wave or whatever. But David was a great guy. Pam, I'm going to ad-lib a little bit, and I miss his woos in the hallways and go Tar Heels and everything that he does. And, you know, you see Ray and Ben and them out there kind of by themselves and y'all, and he left a legacy, and I love him so much, all right? Next up is Food Service Employee of the Year. Haywood County Schools Food Service Employee of the Year is Shirley Presley. Shirley has worked for Haywood County Schools for over 30 years. Her heart for children is apparent in all she does. Shirley has been the cafeteria manager at Pisgah High School for many years and has helped fed Mr. Connor many times. She is organized, fair, and easy to talk to. She manages the cafeteria with great pride. Shirley does her best to make students feel special and notices when something is going on in their lives. She strives to provide a safe place and appetizing meal for our kids. Shirley is retiring this year and will be missed by the Pisgah Nation. It is my pleasure to recognize Shirley Presley as the Haywood County Schools Food Service Employee of the Year. Congrats.
Next, we have our Instructional Technology Employee of the Year. He's in the back, but we'll get him to come out. I know he can hear us. Haywood County Schools IT Employee of the Year is Ben Early. Ben is an invaluable part of the IT department and works very hard to get his job duties completed effectively. He's dependable, competent, and committed to the students and schools of Haywood County. He works well with others and is always available to help. His work through the pandemic has been essential in our remote instruction. It is my pleasure to announce Ben Early as the 2022 Haywood County Schools Instructional Technology Employee of the Year. Our Instructional Support Employee of the Year. April Wilson is the Exceptional Children's Behavior Specialist for Haywood County Schools. She has been described as being one of the hardest working special education employees this year. Since the transition of the mental health contracts, April has stepped up and provided consistent, valuable supports to teachers and staff. She has been vital to the families, students, and anyone who works with students who have severe behavior and mental health challenges. April builds positive relationships across the district and is always looking for more effective ways to help students succeed. Haywood County Schools is lucky to have the Instructional Support Employee of the Year, April Wilson.
Next up is Maintenance Employee of the Year. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read it there real quick. Our Maintenance Employee of the Year is Adam Robinson. Adam has been described as an HVAC expert. He is entertaining, laid back, and makes the maintenance department a fun place to work. Adam is extremely good at troubleshooting electronics and HVAC controls. He puts extra effort in making new installations more efficient. His supervisor said, Adam will do whatever's necessary, from working over or helping other crews to get the job done. He wants to keep the school system in good working order. And then speaking personally, he certainly made our 2 CO moves a lot more fun. I'm pleased to recognize Adam Robinson as the Haywood County Schools Maintenance Employee of the Year. All right, next up is Office Support Employee of the Year. The Office Support Employee of the Year is Carolyn Plott at Junaluska Elementary School. Ms. Plott works in the front office and is a great asset to the school. She has an amazing rapport with students, families, and colleagues. She goes above and beyond to make students feel comfortable and cared for. Carolyn is welcoming, dependable, and there isn't a task she won't take on. She truly makes a difference in the lives of not only the students, but her co-workers as well. It is my pleasure to announce Carolyn Plott as the Office Support Employee of the Year.
Our next is Teacher Assistant of the Year. The Haywood County Schools Teacher Assistant of the Year is Tammy Inman. Tammy has worked at Pisgah for 12 years and is currently serving the students in the Occupational Course of Study program. Her daily tasks are many. She proctors, assists with accommodations for students with IEPs, drives students to and from places of employment, and is very involved in the daily mentoring program for EC students. She works endlessly as the job coach to secure a workplace for all the OCS students. Miss Inman is very professional and creates lasting relationships with her coworkers, students, and local business owners. It is an honor to recognize Tammy Inman as the Teacher Assistant of the Year. And our Transportation Employee of the Year. Brandon Aldridge is an integral part of the Transportation Department. Brandon is dedicated to the department and the school system alike. He is currently the main road mechanic for Pisgah, North Canton, and Meadowbrook. His supervisor said, "Brandon goes above and beyond the call of duty. He has a vast knowledge which ensures proficiency of all his duties. His expert knowledge as a mechanic is unparalleled. He is a selfless person and understands the process to keep the bus fleet safely on the road." Brandon genuinely has the best interests of the students, schools, and transportation department at heart. I'm proud to present Brandon Aldridge as the Haywood County Schools Transportation Employee of the Year. We're going to get one picture all together.
I've got a target. I'll put it on.
Thank y'all so much.
Probably close to 2 dozen pints of beans. Took her jars back for the day, she says, and I took her some lid. She said, "I'll try to fill them up for you again." Oh. I said, "Don't do that." I said, "But they are good."
Chairman Francis, members of the board, now we're going to recognize our retirees for this school year. We've got some gifts up here for the retirees who have retired in the last month, and their effective date is July 1. Some of the other that we're going to recognize earlier have already gotten their gift when they retired. I don't think they can hear me. Wait just a second. Our first one, Lily White. She retired on August the 1st. Gail Nolan. Linda Henson. Robin Rogers. Christy Tinch. Tessa Rice. Chris Frodsham. Donna Parton. Christy Payne. Keith Eckenrod. Jerry Lopez. Kim Ross, Kathy Evanson, you snuck in on me, dude. Just stand up here. Thank you, Kim. Laurie Hobbs, Joy Rathbone, Martha Early, Shirley Presley, Lynn Garrett. Jennifer McCall. Rhonda Haney. Anita Singleton. Sandra Curry. Valerie Ward. Cindy Carpenter. Bobby Keith Buff. Mary Ward. Lynn Freeman. Angie Mathis. Luann White. And Tim Wise. These are our 2021-2022 Haywood County Schools retirees, and on behalf of the school system and central office, we just want to thank you for everything that you've done and the years of service that you have put forth at our schools and in each of your departments. You will be missed, and we wish you the very best to enjoy your retirement. We'll get one picture.
Thank y'all. We appreciate it.
Congratulations to all the award winners tonight and for many years of service from our retirees. We appreciate your hard work and dedication. Next on our agenda, we have Miss Allison Francis.
Chairman Francis, members of the board, Dr. Nolte, Dr. Putnam. Just wanted to come and share some information on the child nutrition meal price increase that happened a few months ago. The USDA made it possible for school nutrition programs to serve all students free breakfast and lunch through waivers during the pandemic. While I was hopeful that the waivers would continue, Congress did not extend them for the upcoming school year, so we are faced with returning to students being approved for free and reduced meals by direct certification through SNAP, parents applying for meal benefits, or parents paying the paid meal prices. If you've been to the grocery store or to the gas station lately, you've seen the huge increase in prices. This has affected the school nutrition program budget just like it has everyone's personal budget. Most people don't know that the school nutrition program operates independently of the school system. Revenues to cover food, supplies, equipment, labor, and benefits must be earned. This includes cash from meals and supplemental sales items sold, USDA reimbursements, and USDA donated commodities. Once meals are served, we request reimbursement from USDA. We have seen more than a 30%
New phone. It's happened to me before in church, so. It's okay.
We have seen more than a 30% increase in food and supply costs this past year, and forecasts show that this will continue to rise. A 21% increase in wages from $11.85 an hour in 2019 to $15 an hour for 22-23 school year. While this state-mandated pay increase is certainly well-deserved, we have to figure out how we're going to pay for it. This does not include the increase in benefits and retirement. A 23% increase in equipment costs is also something we're facing. The average cost to produce a lunch for this school year was $4.23, and breakfast was $2.12. Current USDA reimbursement rates for the 21-22 school lunch and breakfast program only provide 33 cents for a paid breakfast and 44 cents for a paid lunch. USDA reimbursement rate plus the new meal prices paid by the parents still will not cover our cost to produce a meal. While reimbursement rates for the 22-23 school year have not been released, prior years show only a 1 cent increase for breakfast and a 2 cent increase for lunch paid student reimbursements. Out of curiosity, I stopped by Food Line today to see what the current price of a Lunchable was. It was $3.69. This Lunchable included 5 crackers, 5 turkey coins, 5 squares of cheese product, a snack-sized Reese's cup, and a Capri Sun. At $3.50 for an elementary school lunch and $3.75 for a middle and high school lunch, students can select an entree, 1/2 cup of fruit, 2.5 cup vegetable servings, a grain, and an 8-ounce carton of milk. While it is a significant increase, it is still a great deal. I don't know where anywhere else you can go in Haywood County for a meat and 3 for $3.50 and include a beverage in that.
That's true.
In February, House Bill 6613, Keeping School Meals Flexible Act, was introduced in the House of Representatives and was referred to the House Committee on Education and Labor, where it currently sits. The Keeping School Meals Flexible Act would extend the U.S. Department of Agriculture's authority to issue child nutrition waivers to address the impacts of and recovery from COVID-19 through June 2023. If you would like to try to help with this, please contact our representative and urge him to vote yes for this bill. I also wanted to include that surrounding counties such as Jackson, Buncombe, Henderson, and Transylvania, as well as a large number of counties across the state, have risen prices at similar amounts.
Any questions for Ms. Allison? Costs are going up, and the reimbursement's not keeping up with the
No, it's not.
cost.
And it never it's always
No,
been
it's
lower
always
than
been
what, but it's even worse now.
Well, we appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now is the time period designated by the Board of Education for public comments. This time is set aside for comments from the general public in regard to matters of concern to the public. However, comments addressing specific students and/or personnel are prohibited due to confidentiality laws and regulations. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board requests that all speakers adhere to the time limitation and prohibition against mentioning individual students and personnel. And tonight we have Miss Brooke Haynes. I figured that out by process of elimination.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm here again to discuss with you the transfer policy. I and other members of the community are requesting a written transfer policy for high school students. It is my wish that this policy would be voted on by the board and posted on the Haywood County School website for everyone in the community to see, and then the policy to be followed. If this policy has not been created, I humbly request that you require any student that transfers from one high school to another and is an athlete be required to sit out for any Tuscola-Pisgah rivalry game for all sports for at least 1 school year. I also request more support for the teachers and administrators at Tuscola High School. I have expressed some recommendations for how to do this to Dr. Nolte in a meeting on March 16th, but due to time constraints and the long line of people behind me, I will not discuss these here tonight. However, please feel free to speak with Dr. Nolte regarding the conversation that we had. I give my full permission for that. I know it is the school board's greatest desire to make students and families at both high schools feel equally important and valued, and to ensure equality in community perception. I ask that you continue to support Tuscola, its students, student athletes, staff, teachers, and administration. We have a stellar staff at Tuscola, one to be proud of, and a community behind Tuscola that feels proud to be alive and proud to be a Mountaineer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Board members, you've had an opportunity to look at and study the May 5th closed session, the May 9th closed and regular session, and the May 16th special call session minutes. I need an approval.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Mr. Nesbitt to approve the minutes as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So, Mr. Henderson, any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have Ms. Fox who's going to do some presentation for us.
Chairman Francis and members of the board, we have for your approval tonight the alternative accountability model for Central Haywood High School. We need an approval for that. And I believe it was
posted on our
Moodle.
It was on Moodle. A lot of detail.
Yes.
I need a motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Dr. Rogers made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So, Mr. Nesbitt, any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. Next, we have Ms. Thompson, Lisa Thompson, for our AIG plan.
Chairman Francis, members of the board, I'm asking for your approval of the AIG plan that spans beginning 2022, in effect now until 2025. And we discussed it in board work session last Thursday night.
And I'm sorry I missed it. Okay, we need a motion to approve the AIG plan as presented.
I make a motion that we approve the AIG plan as presented.
Okay, Mr. Kirkpatrick made the motion, second Mr. Burnett. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Ms. Thompson. Next, we have Ms. Glantz, our CTE plan. We do this about every year, I do believe.
Yeah, this same year, same month. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nolte, Dr. Putnam, you were given the local plan on the middle, for the CTE, the 22-23 school year, and I'm asking for approval tonight on that application.
Okay.
Are there any questions for it?
Anybody have any questions? I need a motion for approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Henson's made a motion to approve the CTE plan as presented, and Mr. Nesbitt has seconded the motion. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Glantz.
Thank you.
Next, board members, we had interviews earlier this evening, and we had Thomas Olive come. Tom Olive, I believe is who he goes by, and Gwendolyn Forbes came. Both had excellent interviews, excellent credentials, and the unfortunate thing is we've got to make a tough decision tonight. So at this time, we'll open it up for discussion, or if someone has a motion to make, we'll entertain that.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that, like you said, both people had excellent interviews. I think Mr. Olaf provides us with some experience in serving on similar boards and could help benefit Haywood Community College. So for those reasons, I would like to nominate him as our appointment to the Haywood Community College Board of Trustees.
Okay, we have a motion from Dr. Rogers. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So, Mr. Francis, any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. King, would you please let the candidates know of the decision of the board tonight, please? Thank you. Next is our famous mass policy vote each month, and Dr. Putnam gets the pleasure of doing that for us each month.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Francis. It's, our 4231/5021/7263, option B of that policy, which is mask optional. That's the version of that policy that has been elected by the board thus far, but it does require a vote consideration each month.
So no changes?
No changes.
Make a motion, we approve it.
We got a motion from Mr. Kirkpatrick, second Mr. Burnett. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
I think you've also got
First read.
first reading of a slew of policies.
It won't be held for 30
So
days.
for, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for first reading, we have 4,300 up for first read student behavior policies. We have 4316 student dress code, 4,400 attendance, 4,700 student records, 4,720 surveys of students, 5022 registered sex offenders, 5030 community use of facilities, 6340 transportation service vehicle contracts, 7100 recruitment and selection of personnel, 7130 licensure, 7262 communicable diseases employees, 7340 employee dress and appearance, 7530 military leave, 7820 personnel files, 8305 federal grant administration, and 9,000 planning to address facility needs.
Okay.
Those are all up for first read, Mr. Chairman.
As per our policy, these will be tabled for 30 days or till the next board meeting for public input. They'll be posted on our website as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Those will be tabled.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next, we have our Building and Grounds Committee. I think they had some items to bring forward to us, so Dr. Rogers, as chair of our Building and Grounds Committee, will turn it over to you.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 items to bring before the board tonight. The first item we'll bring in the form of a motion is to approve a capital reserve request in the amount of $305,000 for the final payments on the Board of Education Central Office Building.
Okay, we have a motion from Dr. Rogers. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Chair David Burnett. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor?
Now, that is above and beyond the money that we put in it, that we budgeted for it.
In essence, there was, Dr. Putnam, you have me, there was roughly $91,000 unspent in capital that'll have to go back up, and then we'll pull back down $305,000. Some of these items were going to be taken out of current expense, but given all the things that's going on, we've had to spend current expense money, so we need to pull $305,000 down. That's final payment on everything at central office.
To get into the building total, so what is the total number on that? Do you have it right off the bat?
I do.
And the reason why I'm asking, I know I was on the phone during Building and Grounds, I didn't hear everything. I'm just wanting to get things out for sure.
2.67 is the final. That brings us in at $190 per square foot, 14,000 square feet. In the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. And to get somebody to do it.
Yes, sir.
And I would add that we knew going in that the gift of the building and the money from the commissioners would not be enough. And when we borrowed, we tried to borrow practically And so a lot of it's been paid through a loan, but, it just cost a little more than what we borrowed.
And it might be helpful to everyone, Dr. Putnam, to just inform people how that affects our capital reserve.
We currently have a little over 3 million in capital reserve, and we're expecting another sales tax drop or disbursement to that fund. Usually operates at around 600,000 per drop. So by end of July, it's perfectly practical to think that will rest at 3.6 million. In capital reserve, not current expense, capital reserve.
Reserve, okay. Any other questions or comments before we vote? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, the second motion we'd like to bring before the full board is to approve a proposed change order for the Waynesville Middle School HVAC cafeteria renovation in the amount of $67,395.40. All those funds will be paid from ESSER funds.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion from Dr. Rogers and a second from Mr. Jimmy Rogers, who's joining us remotely, which I forgot to say that. So I apologize to you, Jimmy, for not bringing that up, but thank you for joining us remotely. We have a motion on the floor. Any questions or comments before we vote? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Second, we'll bring this in the form of a motion. We had a request from Pisgah High School for the removal of pine trees at Memorial Stadium on the north end of the end zone or of the stadium. Those will be paid for by the school.
Okay. We have a motion from Dr. Rogers. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Burnett. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor?
Do these pine trees have any effect on the flood, rise, or fall, or anything like that?
If anything, it would be to the good, because you're actually removing an obstruction that lies in the floodplain.
Okay. And the plan is to replace those pine trees with some trees, with some oak trees.
Yes, a more valuable tree that is more aesthetically pleasing is the plan by the school.
Any other questions or comments before we vote? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Building and Grounds brings forward a motion to approve Pisgah High School gym floor refinishing project, which will be paid for by the school.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion from Dr. Rogers, and we have a second from Jimmy Rogers. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Building and Grounds bring forward a motion to approve after-school basketball goal project at Hazelwood Elementary. This project will be paid for through Hazelwood Elementary School's stabilization grant money.
Okay. We have a motion from
Second.
Dr. Rogers, second with Mr. Nesbitt. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And finally, Building and Grounds brings forward a motion to approve McMillan, Pasden, and Smith Architects for the RFQ on the Tuscola High School farm project. That's to do the design work.
Okay.
That's required.
We have a motion from Dr. Rogers. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Francis. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the good, fine work of the Building and Grounds Committee and all that's going on. There's a lot going on. That's for sure. Next, we have our Chair of our Finance Committee, Mr. Ronnie Clark.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee reviewed the monthly financial reports, and I need to bring that for
Okay.
approval, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the monthly financial reports as presented. Any questions or comments on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
These next 5 items we discussed in the work session the other night, so. Motion to approve the increase activity bus usage fees from $1.20 per mile to $1.75 per mile. And mostly of that is to go to replace buses, not as far as fuel costs, so.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Clark, second from Mr. Kirkpatrick. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, a motion to approve an increase in driver's education student fees from $45 to $55, and the state allows to go up to $65, but we're just gonna go up $10.
Going from 45 to 55. We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Sir, Mr. Burnett. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor?
Where is the extra money going?
For materials,
Gas.
Or replacement.
Are we correct?
Driver's ed cars, replacement.
yeah.
Replacement?
Yeah.
Because we need to replace the car, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Any other question or comments before we vote? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, we have a motion to continue to sponsor our 403B plan and select National Life Group as default investor provider for the employees or staff.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Sir, Mr. Nesbitt. Any questions or comments on the motion on the floor? It's complicated. We understand it.
Again, it was something we went over in work
Absolutely,
session.
we understand it. Any other comments or questions? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, approve June budget amendment and revisions resolutions.
Okay. We have a motion from Mr. Clark. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Francis. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Finally, approval of fiscal year 2022 and 2023 interim budget resolution.
That's to get us through until we actually get a budget.
Yeah.
So we have a motion from Mr. Clark. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Any questions or comments on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Anything else from finance?
That's all from finance.
Very good. Everybody's been working hard today.
Yes.
Now we got Miss Taylor Garland.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. You have before you tonight for your approval Budget Amendment Number 8. This is mostly just to adjust the budget for changes in state and federal funding. You will notice there's an amendment to the Capital Outlay Fund for $50,000. That's to create a budget for the Tuscola High School Farm Project.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve budget amendment number 8.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Nesbitt.
Second.
Do I hear a second? Was a second by Mr. Clark. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Garland. Next, we have Dr. Nolte with some
Mr. Chairman, members
agreements.
of the board, staff, no guest left at this point. We have on the agenda, and we've posted on there for you, the annual nursing contract. I think we sent that to you, did we not, Mr. Smathers? Nursing contract. There's very little change, just a word or two in negotiation with public health on their nursing services, and we request your approval at this time.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Henson's made a motion, seconded by Dr. Rogers. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And
Next, we
board,
have
at this,
personnel.
and board, at this time, I bring to you the personnel that we discussed previously in closed session for your information. We have 38 separation from employment, 16 employee status changes, 28 student teacher intern 1 individuals, and 9 student teacher intern 2 individuals, and 4 leave of absence. For your approval, we have 16 employments, 191 employee status changes. For the public, that is mainly summer school, all the summer camp, summer school stuff that happens during the summer. 44 employee coaches, mainly for the fall, 23 non-employee coaches, 16 volunteer services, and 144 teacher contracts. We bring those once a year for folks who get contracts.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Mr. Rogers has made a motion for approval of the personnel as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Sir, Mr. Clark. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. All right. There being nothing else to come before the board, meeting adjourned.